Hey everybody, welcome back to Angie P TV. Now you may notice that I am in a different location. That's because I'm in Austin with the one and only, the best Tevin, the biggest bird, YourBudTevin.
That's a very correct intro. Hello everybody, thank you for having me in my house.
Yeah, I am so happy to have you. You are one of my favorite content creators.
Thank you.
So I'm really honored to have this experience. So yeah, he's a YouTuber, he streams on Twitch, so he's a content creator. You want to tell people a little bit about yourself?
From the content side, yeah, I came up doing persona runs on YouTube, but I've really been in the game for like the longest time, doing stuff from like literally everything. Started off doing Call of Duty stuff, 2K videos, Madden videos, vlog videos, challenge videos, prank videos, you name it. I just love the YouTube atmosphere. I just like making stuff. Wanted to like get out of the JRPG element and started doing drinking games for anime, and that's kind of where my career is taking off. That's probably how most people know me nowadays, and it's fun until the next day.
Yeah, yeah, until the next day. So you have been doing gaming for a while, but what was the first game that you played that really like sparked that love for gaming for you?
From the beginning, it wasn't even really me playing games. My dad used to play on his PlayStation 1, and I remember I was like 3 or 4 years old and I was watching him play Crash Bandicoot, and I was like, I don't know what this is, I don't know how to count with my fingers, I don't know how to handwrite, but I know this is sick, and I need this, I want to do this. So he used to put me in his lap and let me play like some of the sillier games, some of the easier games, like the demo games on PlayStation. Older people know what I'm talking about. There used to be demos on the disc because you couldn't like download other things. It's old people stuff. But ever since that moment, I've like pretty much dedicated my time to playing video games.
Yeah, I mean, between now being a full-time streamer and doing YouTube, what would you say is the most rewarding part about kind of seeing your work get the credit it deserves?
You know, I never really think about like what's rewarding about it. I just really like making it. I guess that's the thing, the fulfillment that it gives me, that the thing that I've always wanted to do, like probably since like 9 or 10 when like YouTube first dropped. And even before that, I wanted to like do stuff with video games. Like at first it was like make video games, because the possibility of playing video games as a job just didn't exist. And so once YouTube dropped and I saw like the very first people do that, like, I mean, way early on, like, I can't think of his name, the guys, like two bros play or two friends play or something like that, like Fear Crads and like old people. I was like, that's it, this is what we're doing, like I'm dedicated to this, and to see that through and actually get to this point, like 17 years later, that's like the most fun part. I wake up every day and I'm like, yes, like I get to do the thing that I wanted to do. It was never for like validation, although, you know, love it, keep gassing me up, but the self-fulfillment, like the idea that I had a dream, like an actual dream with my life, and that I went and actually did the thing that, you know, not a lot of people get to do that.
Yeah. I know you've said before too, that before you got into content creating, I think you've said in a stream before that you weren't interested in true crime because that's kind of what you were going to school for.
Yeah.
What were you doing before content creating?
So I went to the University of Missouri. At first I wanted to do clinical therapy because I was like depressed. Well, I'm bipolar now, but at the time we just thought it was depression. And I wanted to like help people not go through that. But at the same time, like, a whole side thing is that I always wanted to do stuff with video games and whatever. I just didn't think it was gonna work out by the time I was in high school. So when my high school career finished, I was like, oh, this is a backup thing, I could do clinical therapy. Well, I got into the University of Missouri, and the classes I ended up taking, I just ended up double majoring. Like, I just ended up in a position where they're like, oh, you just double major. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was just gonna get just continued down the path. Well, I took a class called Social or Deviance, and the teacher for it was sick, and he just told us about like how society works and evolves, and how people create these new, taboos, and like how we like are tempted by it, how just like how everything moves in that world. And I got really interested in it, and I just kept going down that path, and I ended up being was going to be a Quantico, which is like you ended up doing the case studies for murderers, and you would sit down with them, and you would sit down with them, and you would talk to them, and you basically just like get them to talk about how they murdered people, and you would try to like find correlations or just find the root of problems so that you could like prevent the next thing.
That sounds intense.
It is as a job, but like once you get to that point, you are pretty able to like remove the person from the act. So you could look like they can tell you like horrific stuff. Like you just be super not like friendly, but just like as if we're this conversation right now. It would sound the exact same, but they'd be talking about like in somebody's head with a hammer.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, it's not even nuts.
So between shifting gears a little bit, between Persona 5, because that's kind of where you got your start on YouTube, and now the anime drinking games, and now being a full-time streamer, what has been your proudest production?
I mean, the one we can't talk about, the one that just recently happened, was the one I put the most work into. But it's actually like something that nobody has. I didn't even make a YouTube video out of it. I probably should have. But I got 96 content creators to do a Mario Kart drinking tournament. Like there's a Mario Kart version for like college kids, like Mario Kart or Mario Kart, whatever you want to call it, where you can't drink and drive. And we had like, it was stacked. Like there were, I mean, the sub count total for everybody that was in it was in like probably close to like 100 million.
Wow. And
that just shows you how much Mr. Beast says. That's crazy. Anyway, and it was just like, I ran it by myself. There was no extra production. There was no commentary team. There was no anybody, like, there were no mods helping me. There were no nothing. I literally, like, planned it out, got everybody, made all the rules, and I was just running it while I commentated it live on stream. And so that was, like...
You did something similar with Mario Party.
I did. That one was just 12. And the Mario Party is what made me consider, like, upscaling it. And I thought I was going to have more help. And I just didn't get it, and I was like, whatever, I'll do the whole thing myself. And it was the most taxing thing that I'd ever done, but it was probably the most fun, just to see how many people enjoyed it, and like it dominated the entire Mario Kart stream channel. Like it was like the 40 straight people who were just all part of the same thing. So it was really cool. I don't know if you'll ever see a YouTube video of it because getting 96 people's footage is impossible. But that's probably my proudest one, just because of the work that actually went into it.
Full-time streaming, I know that's kind of been like a shift for you. What has been your biggest challenge?
I think just being bipolar. Not to like. One thing I really hate is just the idea that it's like, oh, it must be so hard for you. Like, I'm not looking for any form of like sympathy, but it is something that you do have to understand that like you'll wake up just not even the same person. And when it happens, like there's no sort of control. There are days where I can't like get out of bed. I don't even want to like open my eyes. So having to get up, and not just get up, but like put on a show consistently is probably the most difficult. Just because people are mean, and people are also not that bright, and so they'll come in the chat and they'll want to say these things to you, and you're just like already like ready to snap or ready to cry, whatever you're going through, and it's just like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to do this right now. And like you can't even wash it out with like a game where you can focus, because the entire time like you're just not there.
It's like when you have bad days, they're really bad.
They're really bad days because your whole your whole brand is your personality. That what you're selling is a personality, you know. So you can't have a bad personality because that means you have a bad brand. And that just makes things difficult. I've learned to mitigate it now that I stream. It's easier to just be like seeing it through the lens of a job, which sometimes hurts you, but a lot of times it helps you because you can. Did you ever work like a minimum wage job?
Oh yeah.
So
my first job was like a Taco Bell.
Yeah, exactly. So like the days you didn't want to work, but back then it was like you have no choice.
Yeah.
It was like you go and you cry in the locker,
in the freezer room.
Exactly, in the freezer room. So I just do the same thing now. It gives me a perspective to where it's like, okay, I can just do this as a job. You know, if it's overbearing, I'll just go chill out for a little bit in the bathroom. You know, get my bearings and come back. And if it's honestly that bad, then I can like plan my day off ahead of time and then get back to it. It's by far the worst. Not being able to turn off being fun is hard.
And I mean, I know like you mentioned chat. A question came up with that. What's the most ignorant thing somebody's ever said to you in chat? Or if you could think of a couple. There's one that sticks with me, and it's the easiest one. So I was playing Apex one day, and it was more like I was once again trying to transition it was Persona days, and I was trying to transition out of it, and I was like barely getting started on the anime drinking game. I must have had 20 or 30 people in there. It was a late night stream, and I was so upset just like looking at the number and like knowing that if I was like playing Persona or something, I had like 300 viewers, and I was just like, I hate that this is like I'm forced to do this, and I felt like real hopeless, and it was one of those bad days. And I was also playing badly on Apex, so I was just super frustrated. In a bad mood.
And I look over at chat, and they're like, well, what would you want to do? And I was like, right now I just want to quit. Like, when I say quit, I mean like retire. Like, literally just stop doing everything on the spot. I was like that fed up. And the very next comment, I don't know, I can't remember who it was, but the very next comment was like, so do it. And I turned it, I didn't say another word, I turned the stream off and I got up. I didn't stream or drop another video for like 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the most like boiling point overflow I've ever had. I was like, alright, you want me to quit? I'll do it. And I quit.
You said, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I did not need this. Yeah.
People are mean.
Yep.
I hate that. I know you probably get that a lot on Twitch, though.
Yeah. Anonymity plus like they sort of want a reaction sometimes. Like sometimes it's in your best interest to like look stupid. So sometimes they want to feed into that or create that narrative for that stream. And when you're not having it, and you try to cut off in that, oh, you're a poor sport or whatever, and want to leave. So.
With the anime drinking games, though, I know you've said multiple times that you don't want to be put in a box. Same thing with Persona 5. You know, it's the matter of people see you doing a type of content and they just kind of put you into that box like, oh yeah, you're the Persona 5 guy. Yeah, you're the anime drinking guy. And you've voiced several times like you don't want to be put in that box. You want to do so much more. You want to be the greatest content creator that there is. Did you ever expect when you put out the first anime drinking game that it was going to be as popular as it is?
Everyone expects me to say no. Yes, I did expect it to be as popular as it was because I had a plan. When I started the anime drinking game, I had spent probably a full month researching how to get out of Persona 5 at that point. Like I had quit making videos because, to preface, the reason why I didn't want to play Persona 5 challenge runs anymore is because the game's like 100 hours long. Like going pretty quickly. You could easily spend 200, 300 hours playing that game. I could get it down to as low as 40, but that's 8 that's a full-time job just recording it. And then I had to edit, which took 80. So like, me getting it out in 2 weeks was me spending every waking moment working on it. And then they would just want another one in 2 more weeks. So I was like, I'm not capable of doing it. So I sat in my room for like legit a straight month, and I was just looking at ideas, and I was like, what is trending? What is this? How does this work? How is this working? And it all came together like magic. I just got proposed. Best editor on YouTube, period. Maybe best editor ever, period. I just got him to like start working with me because we were trying to make streaming work. It's flopped immediately. You can actually go. You can see the timeline of what I'm saying on my channel. It flopped, and I was like, I'm not going back to Persona to keep making money. And I was looking, and I was like, I was watching a lot of cold ones at the time, and I was like, oh, they just drink all the time. They make drinking games, like fun little drinking games. And I was like, oh, somebody's clearly, like, definitely done anime drinking games. I looked it up, had not been touched. I was like, that's a gold mine. Like, how has nobody gotten into it yet? Or like, some people had, but they just like gave rules and didn't actually like go through with it.
Oh.
And so I was like, Repose and I had been wanting to do something together for like the longest time. And besides him editing, and then misinformed, to like you guys know by now, but he was like way bigger than me at the time, and he had just dropped a video on Persona 5, and I was like a big fan of his. I still am a big fan of his, but I was a big fan of his at the time. And so when he dropped it, I was like, no way. He was watching my stuff to research his stuff too, so it was like a good, I knew I had a good shot. So I hit him up, I DM'd him, and I was like, hey, do you want to be on this thing? And he was like, cool. And then I hit up Propose, and I was like, hey, do you want to be on this? Like, I have this new idea, I think it's going to work. And he said, cool. And I was like, what anime will work? And I knew any anime would work, but I was like, what anime would my audience watch? And at the exact same time, I'm not even joking, the very next day after I came up with the idea, the Persona 5 animation dropped. And I was like, oh my God, I'm out of here. So we filmed it that weekend, I think. And what a lot of people don't know is that's actually the first time I ever spoke to Misinformed. I think it was like the third or fourth time I spoke like in person or spoke with my voice through Repose. But that was the first time we'd all been together.
You guys have such great
yeah.
So I thought that you guys had been best friends for years.
No.
Like, I think a lot of people thought that.
Yeah, when that was the moment we met. We probably literally, I gave them the how it was gonna work, 5 minutes, and then we recorded it. That was literally everybody's like first impressions, like. And it honestly is crazy, like going back and watching it, how nothing has changed. Well, we've gotten stupider, but like, because we were like all really nervous of if it was gonna work or what we're supposed to say or whatever. But even then, we were just letting shit run out, and I think the drinks helped with that.
Oh yeah.
Everyone that you guys have seen so far, that was my first time meeting them. The exact moment that they sat down and recorded. I'll usually talk to them for like 5-6 minutes, and I'll tell them how everything runs, and then we just go.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like all these people who you've been recording with. I thought like, oh, you knew them.
No.
Like y'all been friends for a while, because
No.
the way that you guys like talk to each other and y'all like make jokes off of each other,
Yeah.
like it flows so effortlessly.
Yeah. A lot of that is like, if you're a good host, you kind of know who they are and you do your research. But also, I just love content so much. Every one of these people that I've had on, I already knew and had watched them for like a very long time. So whenever they start talking to me and they're like, they bring up something of relevancy that I know about them that's like a deep cut, I'm like, oh yeah, like this. They're like, how do you know about that? I was like, bro, I've been watching for like 8 years. You have no idea. I've been in the cut. So to see my content become, or my love of like YouTube and streaming become like the thing that helps me break the ice with them, it just makes the job easier. I feel like this is like the breakout year. This is the year that I really put all the eggs into the basket. Like I'm stable, I'm in the city, I'm sort of more developed as a content creator. Like I now have somewhat of a name, like people know what I do. Even if it is just, oh, hey, I'm a drink guy. Like, that's good enough for me to kind of get into the door. And a lot of work is going to be put into, like, developing what the next step is. There's, like, an aha moment or, like, an arrival moment where all the work that you've, like, been putting in, finally gets that moment, whether it's like somebody posted you on Twitter, or you go viral on Reddit or something, where you just kind of go from a slow churn of viewers to like you blow up the next day and you check and you're like, oh, now suddenly you're everywhere. I feel like that is this year. Yeah. Where like we've kind of just been churning it up the past couple of years, and granted it's not been slow growth. Like we went from 0 to like 300,000 in 2 years, but like I'm hoping to go from 300 to like 2 million. Yeah. And that's what I'm super excited about. I want this to be the first step into actually being the greatest of all time, like I want to be.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Thank you so much for being on my show. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
You want to drop your socials so people know where to follow you?
I'm YourBudTevin. If you can't spell it, you need some help. I probably don't want you. You gotta read it.
Go back to school.
Yeah, you gotta finish school first. This is not the place for you. YourBudTevin everywhere, honestly. So you know where to find me.
Well, thank you so much, Tevin.
Thank you.
And I will see you guys next time.
Goodbye.